space race. You may be wondering what the space race was, but let's start with how it began. It started between a meeting with President Dwight Eisenhower and Nikita Khrushchev from the Soviet Union. They met at Camp David in Maryland in the United States. They discussed satellites and what they were planning to do after their militaries were depleted. It all ended in an argument because America had started their construction of a satellite, and the Soviet wanted to beat them in that race, hence the space race, because it all started with them racing to get the first satellite into space, and continued to escalate afterwards. Now, here is a representation of the meeting between President Eisenhower and Nikita Khrushchev of the Soviet Union. Hi, welcome to America. I'm President Dwight Eisenhower.
Nikita Khrushchev.
Welcome to Camp David in Maryland.
Thank you.
How's America treating you?
Lovely.
I heard that you had some trouble with Disneyland. They wouldn't let you in because of security
Yes,
issues.
I went into Disneyland.
You were banned from Disneyland, but I'm glad that you still want to keep that childhood alive.
Thank you.
Okay, so
I'm very emotional.
I know Disneyland is a great place, one of America's pride and joys. But I'd like to discuss satellites, and since our military has been depleted, about what we can do to help Russia and America mend some old issues.
Yes.
So I'd like to discuss that. America has been working on satellites.
You've been working on what?
Satellites.
Satellites. We never agreed on satellites.
Well, it's not really your choice to decide, it's America's.
It is Russia's.
Well, okay, you might want to make your own, but I bet we'll beat you in it.
We will make our own satellites. It's been a pleasure meeting you, Mr. Eisenhower. This is Tchaikovsky.
Okay, Nikita, see you soon, bro. The Sputnik number 1. It was the first artificial satellite in Earth satellite. It was launched by the Soviet Union in October 4th, 1957. It was set into a low elliptical orbit. It was about 58 centimeters in diameter and had 3 external radios. It lasted about 4 months in space until it fell back and then burned. Now here's an interview with the lead scientist of Sputnik 1. Hi, I'm here with Mikhail Tikhonov, the lead scientist for Sputnik 1. Welcome.
Hello.
What was your main drive to finish this satellite?
Beat those Americans!
Now, how long have you been working on this? Because this project has gone by quickly.
We got approved in January.
So today is October 4th, 1957, the launch date for the first satellite in space. Now, January, only about 10 months prior, that's a short time period. Do you think you did well?
I think we did great.
Do you think it was a success? How long do you think the satellite's going to stay in orbit?
Long.
What sort of science and math did you use to complete this?
Astronomy.
Thank you, Mikhail. Stay tuned for the actual footage of the launching of Sputnik 1.
So first was Latka. She was the first dog in space on the Sputnik 2. She was trained with 2 other dogs, Albina and Mushka, but she was the one sent into space. She was trained to withstand small spaces and confined for 4 days prior to her launch. But she was able to make it through the launch, and she returned to a stable heart, but died in space, sadly. Now here is an interview with Latka before the launch.
Hello! I'm here with Latka, the dog about to be the first dog into space. Latka, how does it feel?
Feels good.
So, Latka, is it true that you were locked in a cage for 4 days for preparation to fly into the Sputnik 2?
Yes, I've been locked in there for so long, for 4 days. It was really dark and really uncomfortable, but I'm outside now and I'm so happy that I'm prepared.
How does it feel to be that Albina and Mushka to be the first dog into space?
Feels really good, but they've also put their part into this.
It's very good. You're a good sport, Latka. You're a good sport. We wish you the best of luck, and I'm signing off here. We are launching the first dog into space from USSR in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, take off!
On September 12, 1962, President Kennedy gave a speech at Rice Stadium to the people of the United States, telling them that we were choosing to put a man on the moon. This was a big step for the United States, as we were going to be the Soviet Union in the space race. And it was also something that would last in our history for a really long time. Here is a clip of me reenacting a segment of President Kennedy's speech.
We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do other things. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is something we are willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one which we intend to win, and others too.
Go America! We love you, Kennedy! Yes, Kennedy!
America was definitely in last place during the space race, but they wouldn't stay there for long. They started the Apollo 11 mission. Now, the Apollo 11's mission was to put the first man on the moon. And they did when Neil Armstrong landed on the moon on July 20th, 1969 and coined the iconic phrase, "One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." Now, the rest of the crew included Buzz Aldrin and Michael Collins, but they didn't get as much fame as Neil Armstrong does and did at that time period. Now, the whole trip took about 5 days, and they returned on July 21st, 1969, which allowed America to push over the USSR and win the space race. Since this was such a famous goal, the US definitely overall won the space race, even though they had lacked the first satellite around Earth, the first man in space, and the first dog in space.
On November 4th in 1979, a group of Iranian students invaded the Iranian embassy and they held 60 Americans hostage. This became known as the Iranian hostage crisis. The USSR had then invaded Afghanistan in December of 1979 to stop the conflict between the outgoing power struggle in Afghanistan. It was a full-blown civil war in Afghanistan. The Soviet Union wanted to claim the land and instate communism after they took control of the land. America was so involved with the safety of their citizens in the Iranian hostage crisis that they had a distaste for Russian interference, so that they boycotted the 1980 Moscow Summer Olympics. Here is the interview with a primary source, my father, a native Iranian, about the crisis they witnessed and lived through.
Hello, I'm here with fellow Iranian American Mark Abusaba. Mark Abusaba,
Hi.
how do you feel about the U.S. boycott in the 1980 Moscow Summer Olympics?
That was because of the invasion. Speak louder. That was because of the invasion of the Russia of Afghanistan, and the U.S. Decided not to compete and completely boycott the Olympics in Moscow. And I think it was the right decision, correct decision, and should have been done, even though many may disagree. Because they may say that the athletes should compete no matter what. You should not combine and mix politics with Olympics, but I think it was the right decision.
Do you think this year's Olympics will revolve more around politics than athletics?
I think things have improved, and they were able to separate the two, so things are different now than they were back in 1980.
Thank you for your time.
Here's an abstract clip of how the invasion of Afghanistan occurred.
Civil War!
USSR will break the fight! Don't fight! Soviet Union invasion! Communism!
In total, 80 countries boycotted the 1980 Moscow Summer Olympics because they were fed up with the invasion that Russia was commanding in Afghanistan. This caused very little diversity in the Olympics within the sports. The Soviet stars won about 195 medals, which was 70 more medals than the next largest country. Only 80 nations competed that year, and if you put that into perspective, 207 nations competed at the 2016 Summer Olympics in Brazil. The boycott led to some backlash because it thought that it was going to go against the unity that the Olympics brought, but overall it could have been the right decision. It contributed to the rising tensions in the Cold War, but overall it actually led to some safety within the United States. Now here's a representation of the events of the Moscow Olympics and how it proved that there was little diversity within the competition.
Up next, Jury Tom from Estonia for the USSR is up to the hammer throw. Taking her time, she's spinning, she is spinning, she is spinning. When is she gonna let it go? She let it go. It hit the house. That went so far. After that amazing throw from Jury Tom, we have Sergei Litvin up to the stand from Russia. He is going for the Soviet Union, and he's ready. Got the eye on the prize. Come on. Start spinning, spinning, spinning. We have that lefty. Very impressive. It went all the way to the fence. Much farther than Jury Tom. How do you feel? He looks very happy. Sorry for assuming you gender.
Next up, Yuri Sedek from the Soviet Union.
Go USSR!
Oh, come on.
Third place, Jury Tom with a total of 78.96 meters from the USSR. Now, for second place, Sergei Litvinov in 80.64 meters, also from the USSR. And first, in the hammer throw, Yuri Sedek with 81.8 meters, also from the USSR.